Alright guys, I'm here back more Kenna Virtue Spirits. Yeah. It's already pretty late. It's already 12:30. But we're continuing on. 12:30 in the afternoon. I have today off, so yeah. I did stream last night. That's something. Woke up pretty late. So that's also something. I don't know what I'm doing.
I'll talk.
Uh-oh. Okay, that's not what I meant to do then, but whatever.
Wow, great shot. Woohoo!
Okay, so we do have a bow and arrow now, right? Okay, interesting. Alright, what are we doing then? Taro's fears, clear corruption. So that's like closer, right? Oh, it's just boring. Okay. I was kind of hoping that there was going to be like some sort of cool animation or something, but no. It's just boring. What am I supposed to do here then? Like I thought it would be like God of War or something, where like she walks into the portal and then walks out the other way. So how do I do this? This way? No. Are these rechargeable or what? Like how do the arrows work? I assume they're rechargeable, but like I don't know for sure. Yeah, it's rechargeable. Just want to make sure. I don't know what I'm doing though. How am I supposed to get through? Maybe I am supposed to go through the back way? Is there a path this way?
See that over there?
Maybe not. Okay, confused on what I'm doing. Shit. Well, yeah, so yeah, I did stream last night. More Horizon streamed for longer than I thought it was. Streamed like for 4 hours. Yeah, work. Yeah, I mean, really not much to update on, I don't think. When was the last time I recorded? It was Saturday night, right? Yeah, so not that much to update from then. Oh, is this where I was supposed to go? Or maybe not. I'm so confused. What am I supposed to be doing? Like, I assume it's something related to the bow and arrow. I guess let's warp back to the place that we're at. Maybe we weren't supposed to warp, and maybe there's a thing on the way back. I don't know.
that. There are other challenges on this peak.
Yeah, this is a really nice looking game, though. I forgot, this isn't on,
Manifestations of
this
corruption
is only
patrol
PlayStation
the path
consoles,
ahead.
right?
Your bow should help clear the way.
Ah, okay, yeah. So we were supposed to go, like, from this direction, it seems like. What? I guess that doesn't do anything. There we go. There we go. Oh, fuck. Oh, okay, so that's like... Oh, cool. Wait, so is this the entrance? No, it's the backyard. Okay. There's a lot of Astral locations, aren't there?
This broken path leads to my house. The corruption there is powerful. Be careful, Kana.
Alright. Yeah, so, today I'm gonna try to get my Sparrow Marquesas retrospective done, which, I'll be honest, probably not gonna happen, but I'm gonna at least try. Tomorrow is Sasuke. So that should be fun. Fuck off. Oh shit. Okay. Didn't realize it had that much range. What? something I want to do. I want to rewatch my Scott Pilgrim retrospective. Let's see. I just kind of want to rewatch that video. Just because I want to remember how I did, because that's the only film retrospective I've ever done. So I just kind of want to get a sense of how I approach that. Where is it? It's around here, right? Or is it after? There it is. Felt like it made a Roxy here. Also, I don't feel like we're... Alright guys, BLM here, back with a new video. In this video, I'll be talking about one of my all-time favorite films, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. About 10 years after its original release. I absolutely adored this movie when I first watched it, when it originally came out, and I mean, at the time I'd already read the original graphic novels, and I was completely ready to be disappointed by the adaptation here, but surprisingly, it ended up becoming one of my favorite movies of all time. Now this may sound ridiculous, but it is true that I have watched this movie over 70 times at this point. Like, there's literally a point in time where I would just watch this movie over and over and over again. I mean, I know there was a night that I couldn't go to sleep, so I decided, you know what, let's watch this movie 4 times in a row, each time with a different commentary. And I really did adore this movie at the time, but I hadn't watched it in about 5 years at this point, and the way I look at media has radically changed during that time, so I thought it'd be fun to rewatch the film and then talk about it here. So I will say that as much as I do love this movie, I do still find it disappointing that the story of Scott Pilgrim was adapted into a single movie. And as someone that loved the graphic novel, I do think the graphic novel pretty much does everything better. I do think the story is more cohesive there, the characters are more complex, there's a lot more time to breathe within the narrative, while the film is just constantly at a really fast pace. And while that was something I did love when I initially watched it, I do think it harms the narrative as a whole, as it makes it a lot tougher to connect these characters, as almost every character in a movie feels two-dimensional, as they never have the time to develop. I just wish that instead of the single movie that we got, that we would have had a 6-episode miniseries, with each episode being one of the volumes. Like, that would have been perfect. That would have been the best way to tell the story in a live-action form. But considering the constraints that they were given pretty much a 2-hour movie, I think they did the best that they could, though obviously a lot of the film feels rushed. But I do feel like most aspects of the film are exactly what I would have wanted from them. I mean, the use of comic book and video game references are great. The use of editing is fantastic, and a bevy of comedic moments. The film is filled with fantastic one-liners that stick to my mind even to this day. Edgar Wright, who is one of your directors, does as good of a job as he possibly could have done with this film, to make the story of Scott Pilgrim fit in a 2-hour period. And with the type of story that Scott Pilgrim is, this should have been a completely impossible task, but he was able to do it and make it an entertaining ride.
I guess he was a boy.
Oh, do I actually push X?
And I tried my best to teach him the old ways. Consumed by the troubles of our village, I was not there for Taro when he needed me most. I hope we can bring him peace. More relics are hidden in the corruption of the Forgotten Forest. I'll wait for you there.
Taro's knife. Okay.
More relics are hidden. I'll wait for you there.
Okay.
Highway through. The performances in this film are fantastic as well. I don't think there's a single dud in the entire cast. I think Michael Cera is a perfect fit for Scott Pilgrim. I mean, he already plays a similar character to Scott Pilgrim in almost every other movie he's in, and he does look similar to the character from the graphic novel, so I thought he was the right choice here. Now, for the most of what I have left to say can be done by running through the narrative of the film, so let's do it. The film starts with the exact same opening scene from the graphic novel, where Scott tells his band members that he's dating a high schooler, and I really like how pretty faithfully this adapts that scene, with the characters being introduced with these info boxes just like the comic, but just like other scenes in the film, it takes scenes from the graphic novel but greatly reduces its scale, and it does some mixing of scenes as well. A lot of the dialogue from this film is directly taken from the original graphic novel, but a lot of it comes out of context from what it originally was supposed to be. And the original graphic novel obviously had more background on characters, like this scene in particular had a flashback where Scott and Knives meet. We don't get that here in the film. We later get introduced to Wallace, and again, something straight from the graphic novel is a scene of them showing the items within a flashback where Scott and Knives meet. We don't get that here in the film. We later get introduced to Wallace, and again, something straight from the graphic novel is a scene of them showing the items within the apartment, which is such like a minuscule thing to adapt, but it's pretty cool they actually did that. But as we'll talk about, as the film continues to move on, it adapts the original graphic novel less and less. And all that has to do with, I think, the graphic novel not being finished at the time that they were making the film, and through that, the material from the last couple volumes of the film are kind of just either rushed through or just completely different from what they were in the original graphic novel. After this, we do see Scott picking knives up in school, and we get the introduction to Ninja Revolution, which was an original creation for this film, and you can clearly tell the scene was made with the intention of Scott and Knives ending up together by the end of the film, which was the ending that the film originally had. However, after obviously they found out what the real ending was in the book, and also the screen testing didn't go great, they decided to change it up, have Ramona and Scott end up in the end, and I do think that is the better outcome for the narrative as a whole. But it doesn't feel like they bothered to take out the hints towards that original ending here. There's a lot of scenes here that parallel towards the end of the film, make you think that they're going to end up together, but again, obviously they don't. I always found the scene where like Scott shows Knives the house he grew up in, which is like directly across the street from where he currently lives, just really awkward. I mean, this is a scene from the comic, but it It's not directly across the street, which again, I think is another problem. Again, this being really rushed. Like, it's so condensed to the point where they just have this really awkward scene there. Like, it's never brought up ever again. It has no relevance to it. It's just a weird scene. We then get the first scene with Ramona, where Scott sees her in his dream, and this leads to him seeing her in the library next day. And I should mention, the beginning of this film is just so ridiculously fast-paced. Like, we're literally just jumping from place to place to place to place. There's so much cutting in this beginning section of the film that mixing that in with like the surrealistic nature of the film, it really makes this beginning here so discombobulated. But we then get to Julie's party where Scott meets Ramona for the first time, and we get the text "This One Girl" on screen, which is the name of the chapter that this scene adapts. And they do this a couple more times within the film, but then they do drop it by the halfway point, which again I think is a lot of the, which I feel like is more than likely due to again the graphic novel not being finished at the time of filming or writing, and especially they really faithfully adapted the first volume and even did a decent job at volumes 2 and 3. By the time they reach volume 4, everything's just so rushed. You tell by the runtime of the film, where the content from volume 1 takes up about 40 minutes of the 1 hour and 50-minute movie. So despite it only being a sixth of the overall story, it takes up almost 40% of the movie. But here we do get the ridiculous Pac-Man line, which I mean it is a real fact, but when that, like, one, who says that as a pickup line, and two, is a minor departure from the source material. The source material did have a bit more awkward of a question where it's like Scott's just asking her about her shoes. So I think this Pac-Man line probably fits the narrative better actually. During the scene, we do also see the mention of Lisa and Holly, two characters from the original graphic novel that were missing here, which I think is a big shame considering Lisa is probably one of my favorite side characters from the original source material, and Holly was pretty good as well, but again, they just didn't fit within this 2-hour movie. We do then get the start of the League of Evil X's storyline with Scott getting an email from Matthew Patel, and that's a funny scene, again, directly taken from the comic. And we have Scott ordering a package from Amazon just to get Ramona there, and they go on a date, they return to her house, we get the text from Ramona come closer, which again is the name of the chapter that this was adapted from. We get a shot-for-shot recreation of their like sex scene, which technically isn't a sex scene, she changed her mind, but whatever. But I do find the scene really awkward on the rewatch, as I thought it was pretty clunky here. I think it works fine on paper, like it works fine as a graphic novel, but I think when you have actual people saying this, it just feels kind of awkward. We come to the first round of the Battle of Bands, which is much more of a core storyline in this film than it was in the graphic novel. The success of the sexual violence is used as a massive storyline to progress the narrative forward in the film. However, in the graphic novel, it was kind of irrelevant, and I think a lot of that has to do with obviously in the film here, everything takes place over the course of a few days, while in the original graphic novel it takes place over the course of a year, right? So they really had to use this Battle of the Bands to be an excuse for all of these shows that they were playing. But again, this is mostly directly from the graphic novel. We do get some fun stuff here, like the Crash and the Boys' ridiculous songs, and Mark Webber as Steven Stills here does a really good job during these scenes. Then we get our first evil X with Matthew Patel just randomly arriving, and this seems really great, and the comedic timing here is really fantastic. The film embraces its weirdness here, where we get this Street Fighter-esque fight scene, some really fun visual effects here. This is one of the few times in the film we do see a flashback, though. They weirdly use the actual comic book panels from the graphic novel when Ramona's like talking about her relationship with Matthew Patel, but oh, this is a really fun fight scene and probably the best one of the entire film, actually. After that, Scott returns to his apartment, we get this weird Seinfeld-esque scene of Scott telling Wallace about what happened the previous night with Ramona, and this, again, just didn't really work for me on the rewatch. I just seemed a bit too meta for my liking. Okay. We do have Scott breaking up with knives and Scott having dinner at his place with Ramona, and there's some funny lines here, like redneck fat, which I mean, that stuff's also from the original graphic novel. Also, like him singing the Ramona song to like a really subdued response. But eventually we see them arrive on the set of the Lucas Lee film, who just so happens to be Ramona's second ex, and it's really weird to see Chris Evans play Lucas Lee now, considering obviously now everyone knows him as Captain America, but this was right before he got that role. And we get a lot of fight scenes here. They're mostly just kind of fine. We do have Lucas Lee throwing Scott into the castle, and that's again another one's directly taken from the comic book, and just kind of a ridiculous scene. I do love the line, "Hi, big fan," and Lucas responding with, "Why wouldn't you be?" But Lucas does die a similar death to how he does in the comics, where he strides down a rail too quickly and bails at the end. It's fine. After this,
don't be intimidated.
I'm pretty happy how I did this.
Command the season in one of our reliable, cold-conquering.
I'm surprised that
we get the first appearance of Envy, played by Brie Larson, which is again weird considering she's now Captain Marvel, and also she was in a room. So I mean, this was obviously way before all that, but she has a great performance here again, despite her character not really being as fleshed out as the original source material. We get the first encounter with Roxy, which is out of place. But considering that again almost all of Volume 4 was unutilized, and also how crammed in this back portion of the film is, there's just nowhere else to really put this. Though I do question, like, is this scene even necessary? We get the title of Infinite Sadness on screen, which is the name of Volume 3, so that's something. We do learn that Envy cheated on him with someone named Todd, and that Ramona's third ex is someone named Todd. Convenient, right? We do get the scene of Knives wanting revenge on Ramona, and the scene of her ranting to her friend Tamara, and that's really fun. We get the introduction to Todd, played by Brandon Routh, who formerly played Superman in Superman Returns, so that's something. The scene where sex bombs meet with Envy and Todd backstage is so fantastic. I mean, we get Todd punching Knives, linked to the fantastic line of "you punch the highlights out of her hair," which again, this is slightly different than how it happened in the original comic, but it works here. We have Scott calling him a cocky cock, so that's great. We learn that Todd has superpowers from being vegan, so that's fun. And we get the weird "tell it to the cleaning lady on Monday" line, which again, this entire scene is really, really fantastic. A lot of this is from the original source material, but again, not really in the context that was originally given, but still really fun. The fight ends with Scott tricking him into drinking half and half, leading to him losing his vegan powers. And while this final outcome is similar to the source material, just so much was taken out here. I mean, so much of Scott and Envy's relationship was not in the film at all, and that was such a major portion of Volume 3 of the graphic novel. And to me, makes Envy a much more interesting character. So without that, when we do eventually say goodbye to Envy here, it just isn't as satisfying as it was in the graphic novel, and it really wasn't nearly as fleshed out there. After this, we go straight to the after party, where we have the encounter with Roxy, and this is where the film really starts to get rushed. And that's pretty disappointing to me, is I really love Volume 4 of the graphic novel. Volumes 3 and 4 are probably my two favorite volumes of the source material. So to see Volume 4 rushed was disappointing. We do completely rush into Scott and Ramona's relationship issues, which just seem to happen really abruptly here. We do get a reference to Scott having to fight a guy to be with Kim when they were in high school, which is passed off as a joke here, but that's actually what happened in the graphic novel. We then get Roxy's arrival, and we do get a lot of lesbian and bi jokes, which don't entirely land nowadays. But the ridiculousness of Roxy saying she's bi-furious is just too dumb not to make me laugh. I did also find Ramona fighting with her massive hammers to come out of left field here, as they're mixing multiple scenes here, because this is actually a fight that Ramona had with Envy in Volume 3. However, they're changing that up to have this fight with Roxy here. Also, I don't feel like Ramona was set up as the type of character within this sort of film that would pull out a massive hammer from her bag, which felt like it made a lot more sense in the...
The people who built them have long been forgotten, but their work still remains.
Would you call them those who came before?
Taro's spirit has corrupted the shrines and sealed the entrance to the Guardian Tree. I can feel Taro's presence there. I've marked the shrine locations on your map.
Thank you, Rusu. I'll work to clean the shrines.
Taro's love.
Taro often came with me to care for the shrines. He loved the ancient trees that grow here. I've marked the shrine locations, huh?
So we have multiple? Okay. But that's the actual main mission? Wait, restore. Okay, yeah, so we have to do all these anyway.
Original graphic novel. There's some fun choreography here, like the puppeteering section of the fight. But Roxy does die completely differently here from the original source material. In the original source material, Scott gets the power of love, gets a sword, and then kills her. In the film here, she actually loses the way that Envy loses the fight in the Ramona Envy fight in the graphic novel, where Roxy has a weak point in the back of her leg, and they touch that to knock her down. And so that's how they made Roxy die here, which I mean, I'm kind of like okay with, to be honest. I think it's kind of funny that that's the case. Just, again, it adds to the ridiculous nature of the entire film as a whole, though. Again, it is a shame that so much content is being cut here. But this is the point where the film starts to rarely follow the source material. It really feels like they were doing whatever they could at this point just to finish the story in the time that they were allotted. I mean, they just really quickly had Scott and Ramona break up here after the Roxy fight, and we continue with the Battle of the Band storyline with the Katya and Nagi twins, the X's number 5 and 6, as the next band that they have to face in the Battle of the Bands. And the Katya and Nagi twins were just there in this movie. There was no reason for them to be in the story outside of that. They were in the source material and they needed 7 X's. They were completely pointless here, and they're really only utilized to showcase a lot more special effects that they use during that music battle that we get. We do see Scott getting an actual life that he uses later on, which this was actually much earlier in the story in the graphic novel, though I think it's actually better. That was more closer to the end here. We do get the I'm in lesbians with you lines, so that's something. We do get the first appearance of Gideon, who is very well portrayed by Jason Schwartzman. We do get your typical low point for the hero here with a montage of him being depressed and some characters getting their final scenes like Wallace and Stacy. But then Scott decides to go after Gideon. I do find it funny how he gets by the guards, but she's really dumb gestures. We get Scott's initial fight with Gideon, and we also see Knives fighting against Ramona, and we have Scott cheating on Knives, which I found just a really awkward scene, especially because he gets broken up by Gideon just killing him. And I get this was supposed to set up his apology next time, but I just felt like it was really rushed and really just thrown in there. With Scott waking up in the subspace, and Ramona reveals that she has a mind control chip in her head for some reason. Again, a complete radical departure from the original source material, and to me, it really minimizes the impact of Ramona actually siding with Scott. As in the original graphic novel, it's like a lot of the stories also about the relationship of Scott and Ramona, where they have a very on and off relationship, though I think when they actually finally end up together, it feels like something actually changed. The characters actually developed. While here in the film, it just feels like it was just thrown off as like, oh, Ramona had a mind control chip, so without that, they could be together now. So it just felt really weird to me. Scott uses extra life, and we get a replay of some of the previous scenes with some minor differences that were pretty fun. We do get some closure with the Sex Bomb band members, though. Again, it wasn't nearly as developed as was in the graphic novel, especially Kim, who was a much more complex character, with us knowing a lot more of her background, especially her background with Scott. Though here we just have him apologizing to her and she's happy, so whatever. We have Scott apologizing for his cheating, and this causes the mind control chip to break for some reason. That's really dumb. We have the final fight between Scott and Gideon, where Ramona turns against Gideon, and Scott and Knives defeat him using the moves from Ninja Revolution, again making it so clear that Scott and Knives were supposed to end up together. Again, in the original graphic novel, it was Scott and Ramona that worked together to defeat Gideon. So again, you can clearly tell the rest of the film is built up in a way to conclude with Scott and Knives ending up together. We also get the appearance of Nega Scott, which was an actual conflict in the source material, and was a major source of Scott's development in the final volume of the graphic novel. However, here they just pass it off as a joke, and we just go straight to the ending, where we have Ramona wanting to leave and calling Scott the nicest guy she's ever dated. And again, it just feels like Scott and Knives are going to end up together, but just out of nowhere, Knives just tells him to go after her. And through that, we get a similar ending to the original source material of Scott and Ramona going through the subspace door together, which in my opinion is the better outcome. I think the entire narrative revolves around Scott's growth arc, and for him to end up in the exact same position he was in the beginning of the story with dating a high schooler would just feel really underwhelming and completely pointless. But again, I feel like so much of the development of the characters is missing from the film here, and a lot has to do with, again, them cramming it into 2 hours. All of those are my opinions on the film here, 10 years after its initial release. I still had a lot of fun watching it. It's still a great movie. It's a really nostalgic movie to me. I mean, it's as good of a film as it possibly could have been, given the limitations that they were working with. I would have preferred a miniseries to fully explore all the storylines from the original graphic novel. And I will say that I do think I probably connect to the film a lot less than I did when I initially watched it, but again, it's so nostalgic to go back and watch, and it actually made me go back and revisit the original graphic novel as well. I actually just reread that as well, and I was actually thinking about maybe doing a video on those somewhere down the line, but for now, that's the video. Thank you for watching.
You don't meet a lot of black girls who are game developers. I understand the specialness and the rarity.
Game developers. What was the other video? I was just thinking about that. Like, I wanted to rewatch my scripted media videos, just because, like, I really want to do more of them. It's just I don't have the time. Yeah, I want to rewatch my Game of Thrones video. I think that'd be funny. Actually, I forgot you did an Avengers retrospective. Or not retrospective, Avengers
guys,
review.
BLM here, back with a new video. In this video, we'll be talking about
God,
Game of Thrones
fucking quality.
Season 8. It's been a pretty divisive season for the most part, and to be honest, I do side with the people that look at it more negatively. Now, to give context, I've known about Song of Ice and Fire for a while now, but never actually read the books. And I've known about House of Game of Thrones for a while, but never actually watched it until around the time that Season 7 started airing. And during that time, I decided to start binging Season 1, and I watched each season one by one over the course of the next year and a half, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Through Season 5, I was really considering it to be possibly one of my favorite shows of all time. Season 6 was good, had some great moments, especially towards the end of the season, and then Season 7 was just kind of, And Season 7 started to bring everything together. All these characters were meeting for the first time. But outside of that, everything else was just kind of okay. But I was still extremely hyped for Season 8, because it was going to be the culmination of all these storylines from previous 7 seasons. I was waiting to see what the payoff would be for everything the show set up. And we got it, I guess. Now, the first 2 episodes of the season, I genuinely liked. It was a lot of setup, but I thought it was good setup. I thought it was preparing us for these bigger moments for the rest of the season, the Battle of Winterfell and the Battle of King's Landing. So while some people were extremely down on the season by that point, I personally was enjoying it. And I personally still had hope that the rest of the season would play out in a way that I would like. And I was wrong. But But then we get to episode 3, which is the first episode where my problems start to kick in here. Now, I know a lot of people had problems with how dark the scenes were shot during the Battle of Winterfell. And yeah, they were dark. I personally don't really care, though. What I really care about was the narrative. And, okay, where to start? Night King. The fact that he's killed so easily, really disappointed in that. The Night King himself was just kind of just there for most of the show. But when he was shown to be doing things, he was shown to be this massive threat. The White Walkers as a whole were shown to be this massive threat. It's a apocalyptic sort of threat here. Just gets taken down within one episode. But to me, the Night King was taken out so
in the first,
like, I think the writers were writing the final 3 episodes first, and they're like, oh shit, we gotta write the Night King stuff. And just wrote that afterwards. Because, like, not much of consequence actually happens. No major characters die. And also, like, Arya, there isn't really any great moments for any particular character. So I really came out of this episode pretty disappointed. I was personally expecting the White Walkers to be a much bigger threat at the end game. I was thinking what was going to happen was that during the Battle of Winterfell, I was expecting them to be defeated. It would have been a much better ending if they were defeated in this fight. But that's not my biggest issue with it. I mean, like, I'm fine if they won. I just wanted them to win in a better way. I don't think Arya was the wrong choice. I think Arya was actually probably the right choice to be the person that kills the Night King. I was just expecting Jon Snow to have more of a role in this, especially because a lot of his storyline before the Targaryen stuff started coming in was about him taking down the White Walkers, about the Night King and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, he has almost nothing to do with it here. He's just like kind of there. I was expecting the Night King and Jon Snow to have a one-on-one fight that lasts a few minutes, and then Arya can show up and do it. Instead, like, just Bran's just sitting there staring at him. It's the dumbest scene. And now then Arya just goes and kills him. And the Bran stuff, whatever, he was there, but like you can have Jon Snow try to save him first, have a climactic battle, and then have Arya kill him. I feel like that would make the entire scene feel less anticlimactic. But I do feel like killing off the Night King this early kind of ruins the point of them even existing to begin with. I feel like the entire point of them was to show how pointless war was. That people get so caught up in war that they don't care about this other threat that's about to attack them. So my opinion would have been more apt to have the war with Cersei first, have them win that war, and then have to take on the Night King and be overwhelmed for a little bit and then eventually beat him. But I just felt like that sort of analogy was just taken out entirely and they just killed him off just to get rid of him. Yeah, the final complaint I have here is the fact that no one died. I mean, I already mentioned that earlier, but the dumbest thing about that is the fact that a lot of people died 2 episodes later. Yeah, this is being set up as like, oh, the biggest fight in the series. But like, nothing happened. Yeah, like people are dying left and right in episode 5. It's really dumb that this plot armor was here with these characters where like people like Jaime Lannister survived, people like Brienne survived. These characters that probably should have died here. And the Jaime Lannister one's the really irritating thing. I mean, I'll talk about it more later, but I feel like they completely butchered his character through the season. But then we get to episode 4, which I didn't have as much of a problem with as most people. There were a lot of dumb things. I mean, this entire back half of the season I felt like was filled with like really dumb plot holes. The fact that one of the dragons got killed just by a crossbow like unceremoniously was really dumb. But during the next episode, one dragon destroyed everything. It's like the fact that 2 of them couldn't do it, but 1 could. But then we get to episode 5, where obviously I have more issues here. The Varys death.
Oh, I know.
I mean, it's being shown throughout the show as being one of these big schemers. One of the biggest schemers in the entire series. Yeah, decides to betray Daenerys and do it out in the open. Like, just so unlike a character like him who does a lot of things in the background. And for him to die within the first, 10 minutes of the episode, just felt like it was so rushed. I think, I mean, obviously that's what a lot of people saying this season's rushed, which it is. It really just feels like Benioff and Weiss were just so excited to start Star Wars. They're like, ah, screw it, we'll ruin this show for the sake of it. I mean, obviously HBO wanted more episodes, more seasons, but honestly they didn't do it. I mean, I think this could have easily been 2 full seasons. This entire season could have easily been 2 full seasons. I think it would have been much better. It would have made a lot of the payoff feel more earned instead of things just happening so abruptly. And then we got the Daenerys heel turn, which I didn't have any problem with the idea of the heel turn. I think that 100% should have happened. I think that's what they've been subtly setting up for seasons now. The problem I have with it is that they just went from like 15 to 100 instead of going from like 80 to 100. And again, a lot of that's being due to time. If they had more time, if they had like at least a 10 episode season, I feel like they could have done this in a much better way. But instead, it just feels so unearned. And I feel like, to be honest, they could even fix it within this episode just by having the circumstances of her killing everyone just be a bit different. The fact that everyone surrenders and then she kills everyone is just so dumb to me for where we were at this point in the story. What should have happened, in my opinion, was obviously Daenerys was so obsessed with getting the throne, and to do that she would need to kill Cersei. I think what should have happened is that Cersei was near a crowd of people or something to that nature, and Daenerys decides to kill Cersei along with the other people in order to ensure her the Iron Throne, making it so that she gives up the lives of innocents. Instead, she already had the throne and she still killed everyone. It just makes her entire actions feel completely unjustified. Obviously, it needs to be to the characters within the show, as obviously it gives them the reason to kill her later on. But I do feel like for people at home, people watching the show, should be able to rationalize her decision making, especially if they're being set up as a likable character through the first 2/3 of the series. But then we get the Cersei death, which is just dumb, isn't it? I mean, the fact that again, there's just no payoff in her death, in my opinion. There's no final confrontation. There's no anything. There's no Daenerys and Cersei confrontation here. I mean, and that's another thing about the Daenerys thing is that she just like completely doesn't care about Cersei at that point when she's starting to kill innocents. Instead of just directly going for Cersei, which was her goal in this entire battle. She's like, no, let's just kill innocents first. We can deal with Cersei later. And again, the Cersei death is just dumb to me. Again, like I feel like her being killed in a crumbling building is really dumb. I feel like that left no real payoff for the entire arc of her character. Speaking of arcs, let's move on to Jaime Lannister. What was that? What was he this entire season? He was able to redeem himself at the beginning of the season by leaving Cersei, fight for the North. And he had this great redemption arc through the first 7 seasons of the show, and they just throw it away. They say, okay, no, I still want to be Cersei. Let's go back to that. It's really mind-blowing that they just throw away this character arc. And this is one of my favorite things in the show. Like this point in the show, I do think Jaime Lannister is probably my favorite character, but they just completely undo everything they did. But mind you, I think there's only 2 ways I would have been happy with the outcome of Jaime Lannister's character arc. It probably would have been either he dies in the Battle of Winterfell, or he's the one that kills Cersei. So whatever. Now we go on to the finale, which I actually didn't hate as much as everyone else. I actually really enjoyed the first half of the finale. I thought everything up to Daenerys' death was pretty strong. I think her death itself was interesting from a visual standpoint, but again, it was kind of predictable Jon Snow's gonna kill her, which I think 100% was the right choice. I think you had to have Jon Snow kill her. I think that's the only way you can end this storyline. But after that, where Drogon destroys the Iron Throne is just dumb. How does he know the symbolism behind the Iron Throne? Like, why is he burning this thing? But whatever, that's something else. Then I get to the second half, which is kind of where it goes a bit off the rails. Bran gets elected king, and it's just kind of dumb, isn't it? I mean, okay, when I first saw it, I was like really irritated. Now I'm kind of more accepting of it, but I still do find it funny that everyone online hated Bran. I can't even think of a single person that loved Bran. Yeah, he's the one that ends up becoming king. Mind you, I do believe this is George R. R. Martin's plan, but from what I understand, it was more set up in the books than it was actually in the show. And Bran is just such a weird character on the show. But yeah, Bran becomes king, and yeah, I mean, there's so many weird plot holes in this episode. Like, one, why is everyone agreeing that Bran should become king, especially these people that were just upset like a second ago, like Yara? Also, why did the Unsullied kill Tyrion and Jon Snow, considering they know that they betrayed Daenerys? Like, you literally have Jon Snow, the person who killed Daenerys, they're keeping him alive for a few weeks before everyone's able to get together the king. Why do they care about who the king is? Like, they don't even live there. They're gonna leave right afterwards. Why do they care about who the king is there? Why just kill Jon Snow and Tyrion? And also, why are they listening to Tyrion when he's making the decision to make Bran king? It's like, he's literally the prisoner in this scene, yet he's the one making all the decisions. It's so dumb. It really is. It's such a dumb scene. But then we have Jon returning to the Night's Watch, and they eventually ends up leaving with the Wild Things and goes beyond the wall and stuff. I thought that was an okay ending for him. I personally would have liked him to be king at that point. I feel like if he survives all the way to the end of the series, to have him not become king is kind of disappointing. I know a lot of people didn't want him to become king. They felt like that was a predictable outcome. But I do feel like once you get to that point, it's like, why not just make him king? But they didn't, whatever. I do think it's a pretty fitting ending for him to return to where he started. Sansa becoming Queen of the North, cool. I think that's good. The problem I had with it was the fact that why is she allowed to like break away from the Seven Kingdoms? Like why is everyone just okay with that? Why just everyone do that then if Sansa's allowed to? Like whatever. Arya leaving Front Yard territory, that's good. I think that's pretty good. Ending for a story. And then you have Bran, King, I guess. But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts. I mean, oh my god, 7 seasons leading up to this. Somebody say I didn't love this season, but to be honest, I didn't hate the ending as much as I thought I would coming into the episode. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, you fans would never been happy with the ending. It's like, we just had Avengers Endgame, this 22 movie arc that ends so perfectly, wrapping up so many storylines so perfectly. They also something like Breaking Bad, another show that ends so perfectly. It's like, it's not that I would never been happy with any ending of Game of Thrones. I just wanted a good ending. I feel like that's just a common thing that people use to like criticize anyone that has a negative opinion. They say, oh, you never would have been happy. It's like, no, I would have been happy with certain outcomes. It's just that it didn't happen. But whatever. Screw it. Game of Thrones season 8 sucks. I think it's my least favorite season of the show. Again, the narrative was all over the place. It was rushed. I feel like they also just wanted to kind of get it out of the way so that they move on to Star Wars. Whatever. After review. Thank you for watching.
Download the Domino's app today and become a piece of the private board thanks to free pizza.
I forgot to do leftovers fucking review. What the fuck is this? 9 minutes
Now, I
long.
wanted to make this video, but I didn't really feel like I had a reason to make it. So I kind of realized that we're actually right at the 2-year anniversary of the airing of the finale. So I kind of decided, why not? Let's do it anyway. So yeah, let's start with leftovers. Warning here, I will be spoiling the entire show. So yeah, watch the show before you watch the video. So yeah, Lost is one of my favorite shows of all time, and I knew Damon Lindelof was the showrunner of the show as well, which is what made me initially want to watch this. And it was very different from what I was initially expecting. I expected it to be a sci-fi show about how these people are going to get back, the people who left during the departure, kind of similar to how Avengers Endgame played out. But instead, what it was essentially the 5-year period in between Infinity War and Endgame, where it's pretty much like the Avengers grieving. And I feel like the show really works, and a lot of that is due to its characters. Let's get started by talking about Season 1, which I know is looked at as the worst of the 3 seasons, and I probably do agree with that, but I still really enjoyed the season as a whole. I do think the first couple episodes start off pretty slow. I mean, you do have the mystery of the departure going on, and that's how the show starts off. But that's kind of something the show disregards, as I said, I mean, they never really focus on that element of the story. Instead, they focus on the characters and how they were affected by the departure, which I thought was an interesting take on this story narrative. And yeah, it was the characters that really kept me with the show during this first season. I really liked the characters of Kevin and Nora. All the supporting cast was pretty strong. The villains of the season, especially Patty, was just such a great character throughout the show. I mean, she was in season 2 as well, as a hallucination or whatever. And I just thought she was probably one of my favorite characters on the show.
Yeah, I remember
One of the biggest complaints with this season is the fact that it has such a depressing tone, and it does. I feel like it's really apt for this season, especially because it has such a focus on the direct ramifications of the departure. Obviously, seasons 2 and 3, that takes a bit of a change, but I do feel like for season 1, it had to be in this sort of tone. Something else I do like about this show is how the narrative is structured. It's kind of similar to how Lost worked, where most episodes would have their own specific focus, whether on a character or a certain event. And obviously, this happens throughout all 3 seasons, and they do it more actually in the later seasons. But I did like how they did like episode 9, where it was entirely a flashback episode. Episode 3 was entirely revolved around Matt's character. I believe there was also an episode entirely revolved around Nora's story as well. Then we move on to season 2, where the show takes a pretty radical change, moving locations, splitting up the cast, having a lot more character-focused episodes, which again, the characters are the highlight of the show. This season does have new additions to the main cast and the Murphy family, who I didn't like as much as the original cast, but they were fine. I mean, John is probably one that gets the most screen time throughout the show. I didn't find him particularly likable in season 2. I think season 3 does get better though. Michael is kind of just there. Erica, never really the main focus of the show, but she does have some stuff here in season 2, and then disappears in season 3. During the season, though, I do feel like Jill was severely underutilized here. She was a pretty big